Welcome back to Ladies Who Lead, a podcast for ladies who are leading communities, leading families, sometimes leading group chats with well-placed sarcastic memes, and sometimes dealing with the audacity of other people.
Welcome to Ladies Who Lead, episode 3. This is our thick skin regimen. You don't have to be bulletproof to have thick skin. You just have to learn how to manage it.
Resilience grows in good company.
Today's episode is all about this one thing that women in leadership need, but we're never really taught how to get it: thick skin. This episode of Ladies Who Lead is brought to you by Dream Realm Pictures, our go-to team for turning big visions into beautiful, high-impact videos. Whether you're a business owner, nonprofit, or just someone with a story to tell, Dream Realm helps you bring it to life with style, heart, and strategy. They've helped us craft a podcast that looks and feels professional without losing any of our personality. And trust me, that's saying something. If you're tired of generic content and ready to make something that actually connects with people, visit dreamrealmpictures.com and tell them Ladies Who Lead sent you. So today we are going to be talking about our thick skin regiment. Sometimes thick skin is just knowing what opinions to let in and who matters.
I am a skincare junkie. And so I kind of tried to just take stock of my bathroom counter. What the heck do I have on here that's just for my skin? Because I know that a lot of us, we invest a lot of time, effort, money,
yeah.
products. And so I was looking at this counter full of products and I thought, what if I put the same amount of energy, effort, and time and care into my emotional well-being?
That is also so valuable for us and so important. Where do we find that?
Yep. So we're breaking down our thick skin regimens and how we deal with criticism, stay grounded, and bounce back with grace and a little grit.
We've got some stories, some laughs, and probably some examples. You don't have to be bulletproof to have thick skin. You just have to learn how to manage it.
This is a topic that I have been pumped about doing. Like, I'm so excited about today's episode. I do feel like I have a pretty thick skin, or I'm pretty resilient.
I think you're pretty good at it.
Yeah. But that it didn't come from nowhere. And that one of the things that I basically am like preaching to the women that I work with, the people in my family, my sisters-in-law, my sisters, nieces, nephews, is always don't freaking let other people, don't let outside circumstances decide how you feel.
Where does it come from? How do we get that?
Yeah,
how do
that's
we
what
get
we're going
there?
to talk about today. We are going to start with step 1 of our new thick skin regimen, and that is cleanse. How do we cleanse our thoughts, clear out the noise, kind of restart? Let me hear what you do.
I think for me, because there's a lot of noise out there, especially if you get on social media, anywhere, there's a lot of noise just throughout the day. Let's focus on what truly is important. And does it matter? Does it matter what that person is saying? Or does it matter that they said that to you? Like, how much does it really affect your priorities and what is important to you in your life? Kids have a lot to say, right?
Yeah.
They can be brutally honest, but in their conversations, it's like, where's that coming from? Why are they saying that? I can usually have an understanding of what's going on based on their home life, or based on their past, or based on what they're experiencing or what their challenge is right now. I sometimes feel like I don't do that enough for adults. For children, I always try to understand where is this coming from. And when I do it with adults out in public or on social media, it brings me more peace.
Yeah.
And so that helps to block it out, is to have an understanding and have some more empathy for what are they really saying.
Yeah. I still try to move away from now the idea that you have to be hard. They have to have a hard heart to have tough skin. And so whenever I say we have thick skin or we're resilient, this isn't I have a thick armor that no one can get into. If anything, I would say that it's so much healthier now, because empathy is part of my armor at this point.
I agree with that. I think it can be confusing to hear thick skin, because right away what I think of is just everything bounces off of you. Like, you don't let it in.
That I am rubber, you are glue, whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you.
Yes. Developing thick skin doesn't mean you just stop letting things in. It just means you learn to filter and figure out what is important, what should I reflect on, and what should I ignore.
So maybe we start to reframe our thinking where instead of thick skin being like a rubbery coating that we put on to protect ourselves from everything, that it's more like a bubble that you have to have a key access card to get into. So if I've granted you access, you can come into the bubble. And if I filtered you out, you're gone.
Filtering, clearing
Filtering out
it.
the noise. We talked about cleansing. Let's talk about step 2 of a regimen.
Okay.
Moisturizing. What do you do that replenishes you?
Oh, I have a lot of small things that probably replenish me. Walks with girlfriends. I have my good friend across the street, Gianna. Conversations with her replenish me. We talk about everything from work, being a mom, managing it all. She has a super important professional job and she tries to balance it all. And we just talk about those struggles, but it's in an intimate setting. I think keeping those circles small and intentional has been really healthy for me, especially with such limited time right now between balancing work, kids' schedules, just life. To have it, sometimes we'll even meet up for like, hey, do you have 15 minutes? And we'll just touch base.
If you put together like a trusted circle, you can vent, you can ask questions, you can filter the stuff out. That usually replenishes me. I'll say that one of the things that I have become really thankful for when I'm like talking about moisturizing my soul, replenishing myself, that I go to prayer. And that I used to think that prayer looked like one specific thing because I'd heard grown up Christians pray and I didn't know really how to do that. And then I realized that God made me the way that he made me for a reason. And so he doesn't expect me to be different for him. And so when I go to pray, I talk to him like I'm talking to a friend and I just let it all out. I'm like, dear God, please give me the patience. Please give me the ability, the like fortitude to withstand this or whatever. And then I'll go off on a tangent and then come back and be like, oh, sorry, God. Okay. So this is what was I saying? And I love the idea that God picks up all of it.
And gives you grace.
It gives me grace. Because I'm like, you made me this way. It was really on you, man. I have a tip. I have a trick that I'm going to share. If you don't think that you have that trusted circle right now, or you don't know how to go to somebody
Are you going to tell them to go to Chat GPT?
You better believe it.
You know how dark some of that can get sometimes.
Maybe, but I haven't experienced it yet. So your Chat GPT will get to know you.
This is not approved by me.
Okay, so if you don't have a trusted group of friends or you just don't feel like it's something that you can go to other people with right now, I would say practice on Chat GPT. It doesn't mean take everything that they say as freaking biblical truth, but start there to just practice letting it out. Okay, we're going to use this as an example. I'm about to start talking to my Chat GPT and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. I'm feeling down about myself. I'm stressed about work and everything. And I just don't know what should I do. I feel like I don't have thick enough skin for everything that's happening. Can you help me think through this process? What should I do?
I'm sorry you're feeling that way, Alex. It's totally normal to feel overwhelmed sometimes, especially with everything you've got going on. Remember, having thick skin doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel things deeply or get stressed. It just means you learn how to bounce back and keep going. One thing that might help is to take a step back and focus on what you can control right now. Break things into smaller, manageable tasks so everything feels less overwhelming. And don't forget to celebrate the small wins because they really add up.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm obsessed.
Okay. All right. Point received. Yes, I can get behind that. That's
okay. So let me tell you another crazy one. This will be my last ChatGPT nerd moment for this episode, but I'm not promising forever, just this episode. Okay. So this is for the people getting into faith, trying to work out their, how do I pray? How do I think? How do I do this? I will show you another cheat because I never know how to start. What do I do? How to start? Okay. I am getting ready to pray and I'm a little scattered and I want to pray for confidence and resilience and just direction in my life. Can you help me put together or guide me in prayer?
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Take a deep breath and center yourself. Here's a simple prayer to guide you. Dear God, thank you for your constant presence
Okay, I'm gonna
in my
stop.
life.
But
Okay.
we get it.
I'm just saying, though, if someone needs that support, they can message me.
I know.
They can
So,
message us first.
You message us if you don't have it. But I just think that's a
okay.
good way to start the thing, because I do think if you haven't been trained in your life, my family, we've talked about our feelings forever. Like, we've talked about our dreams, our aspirations, our family. And I'm talking about like my parents, not my husband and my kids. I was raised talking about stuff. I went to therapy. It was just a thing that we did. Not everybody has that. And that I think that it's like a muscle that you can only strengthen by using it. And so if you have,
I think at this time in our life too, I don't think everyone knows that they can reach out and talk to people about it too.
and because you worry about if I reach out. So I'll give an example. The first time I joined like a Bible study group with other ladies, that I was a new believer. I didn't really know. And I felt like I had come from a place. I was like wild in high school. I had fun in college. I got married super young. I had kids. We kind of had done everything in the wrong order at the wrong time. And so I was in this group of women that I felt like they are better. They're better like Christians probably, or better people. They haven't done all this ugly stuff. And so I'm not going to be honest with them, obviously, because they would judge it. They didn't, first of all. But what I did was I didn't grow. I didn't gain anything from that time and that relationship for a little bit, because I was scared to open up myself, because I was like, these ladies are going to judge me.
Right.
The thing that I've found, and I think that you do this really well too, is that when you crack yourself open a little bit, when you loosen up your thick skin and you are just transparent, what it does is it opens people up to being that way about themselves, to being open. So now I feel like now it's like the freaking top has been ripped off.
When I was a younger teacher starting out, just married, teaching, I was 23 years old. I worked with a bunch of women. They were like my work moms. They had kids my age, but they opened up to me, and I learned so much just from them being vulnerable and sharing their, hey, don't do this. Hey, think about this. Sharing their mistakes and their life lessons. Okay, let's keep going. What's the next step?
So the next step is your SPF. SPF for our thick skin, our mental health. And this is the boundaries that we put up, the protections that we put up that help us, that are helpful. We need to protect ourselves. We need to build boundaries, which we've talked about. But how do we build boundaries, protect ourselves without hardening ourselves? What do you think?
I got to bring that back to my husband. He is always really good about bringing me back again to what is important, not letting things bother you so much. He's very blunt and very direct, so I live with it. But with that, he's also so good at being direct about, hey, don't let that bother you. Hey, bring it back to what's important. How is it affecting your life? How is it affecting what's important to you, your kids, your family, your work?
So I made a call earlier today to my sister-in-law, Amy, who I love, because she is notoriously more sensitive than me. She wears her heart on her sleeve. She's just a tender soul, but she's also like a badass and a mom and a wife and a leader. So I called to talk to her because I kind of was taking for granted my strength, because I felt like I was looking at the notes and the things we're going to talk about, and I was like, duh, like, why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you filter out what other people say? Who cares? And
So were you calling to were you calling to ask her?
I was calling to do research.
Okay.
Because I realized that I was not having empathy. I was writing notes for our episode about how to view life through the lens of empathy, and I was having zero for people who...
Alex, what's that say about you?
Me? So I was writing notes about how to have empathy and how to change your worldview
while not having empathy.
Because I was like, why would anyone struggle with this? Just freaking do it. And so I was like, let me just reel it back in a little bit. Let me call Amy. Let me touch grass and see what another perspective is.
And so what did she say?
So I called and said, okay, this is the episode. So as someone that's a little more sensitive, a little more thoughtful, how do you deal with it? And that the first thing that she said was boundaries. And that she's still building them, but that she has to continuously
Where did
look
she
out.
start? Did she mention where she started? Because
So-
I think that's one of the hardest things. Like, it's easy to throw out the phrase or the word, it's not a phrase, the word boundaries. But what does that actually look like?
That's a good.
A long time ago, my husband told me that boundaries for us is basically like building a fence around our family as a visual and starting with that. Like, our family is first. I'm curious though what she said. And
So
how
she said that she was in leadership, she was in a management position, management role, and that she found herself mothering all the people that reported to her because she just felt a really strong pull of compassion and empathy. She wanted them to feel cared for and taken care of, and that she did that intentionally, but then she realized that she had blurred the lines between. She made it harder for herself to manage because she
I
had
can see
made
that.
herself such a mother to them.
that's
And
a different
that-
relationship right there, especially at work.
Yeah, and that it felt like it hurt her to have to call them out on something that was being done wrong or uphold
Right.
rules or whatever. And so she had to build a new set of boundaries for I can still be empathetic, I can still be caring, I can still be a really good mentor and come from a understanding place without losing the fact that this is our relationship. This is the point of this. That she said, I have kids, I have a husband, I have people to mother and to nurture. So she adjusted and reframed
Did some
her whole role
self-reflection
within
on
the
what was
salon. Yeah. To say, okay, this is the area that I'm strongest in. I'm better as a mentor, better as a coach, better at getting people to look within themselves and think about where they could grow. And someone else should be the enforcer.
You said something that just caught me is you said you talk to her all the time, but yet you didn't know this about her. And as we peel back these topics, like layer by layer, it is interesting the conversations I've had with people I thought I knew really well, and I do know well.
Yeah.
But when we touch on these topics, it's stories and things and perspective that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that. And it's just more to talk about and more to share and more to relate to.
Okay, so we have gone through the first 3 steps of our new thick skin regimen. We have cleanse, we've moisturized, and we put on our SPF. What's next?
Step 4, exfoliate.
Okay.
How do you take this tough feedback sometimes without being too scarred from it?
I like that. So what do you think about that?
I am scarred from it. That's what I think. I don't think it works that way.
Yeah.
But as a positive, right? Scars are like a badge of honor sometimes. So no, I don't. When I let feedback in or I let all these things in, it doesn't just go away. I am scarred from it. Not always in a bad way, but I carry it. I carry a lot of things, and I probably shouldn't carry it all, but I do, and I reflect on it for my next move or whatever is impacting my life at the time.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think that you're right, that we do carry it. I think that thick skin is less about not getting the scars, not taking the licks, but more about learning as we go to filter it out.
And learning how to live with it, learning how to live with those scars too. We've all received feedback or criticism or stuff, and maybe some of it is fair. And so how do you take that and do better? Or how do you take that and filter some out? But it all carries with me.
So you just made me think of something, the quote that says, when you know better, you can do better. I think that applies here, that you can say that you carry the stuff with you, that you carry the scars, but that maybe we're adding a step to our skincare regimen. Now we're adding scar fade cream because once we,
Oh, we're getting fancy.
Hey, because once you know better, you know what, I don't have to take all that stuff. You know what, I'm better than this, I'm stronger than this, whatever it is, that you can apply that going forward.
And thick skin, like we said, isn't just about putting up a protector and letting it all bounce off. Take some of it in, but know how to use it.
Yep.
Is it something that you need to go, or is it something that you need to maybe rethink?
So, okay, so the last step of our routine, our new thick skin regimen, what is it?
Rest.
I have a hard time with that one.
Same.
Same.
I love rest, but how does it fit in during the day? Where does it fit in? I will tell you.
I agree.
Rest in my head right now is saying no sometimes. Learning how to say no, even when I want to say yes.
Yeah.
Like last night, my neighbor wanted to get together, go for a walk, let the dogs play. I wanted to, but I also knew I was dead tired and I needed to relax. And I said no. And that's somewhat new for me. So learning to say no.
Yep. I would probably add into rest the giving yourself a break. So even if you can't give yourself a time break, give yourself a break from the judgment that you're giving yourself. If I can't take 15...
Like, how do you do that? Explain.
Okay.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, asking for a friend. Okay, so I will say this because I have to do it a lot. And you know, for being my friend, that my brain kind of like goes psh, nonstop. It's just
You
like,
mean when I look down and there's 30 mixed text messages
Yeah,
from
like-
you and 3 missed calls, I'm like, shoot, I put my phone down for 20 minutes. What happened?
I'm like, where have you been?
And then I text back and I can't get you.
I'm like, oh, I'm done now.
I'm done.
I'm done. I did. That was only 20 minutes. Okay, so I am guilty of overthinking, thinking of too many things at one time. And that I will start to list all the things that I'm not doing. Oh my gosh, you know what I haven't done is 5 years ago, we were going to start a family Bible time and we haven't done that. So now we're 5 years down the road and I've missed it. My kids are 16. I'm like, well, I missed that. And I do that. That's just one example. I'll also be like,
I do the same. It's always focused on like the negative for us. What haven't I done today? What could I have done better? But I think rarely we get to the point that you're trying to make of, but
let me just give myself a break. You can only do what you can do. You can't go back and change stuff that you haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And so this is actually from my like sleep meditation that I do every night. And it says basically release the worries that you have now. You can't do anything else for the day. That you can look at what do I need to add to tomorrow and then let the rest of it go.
But as soon as my head hits the pillow, I think about everything throughout that day too. I don't necessarily give myself a break. I'm thinking about how can I be better the next day, especially with teaching. I'm constantly reflecting on the day. How could I have handled that situation better? How could I have taught that lesson better? And rarely do I say, wow, I did that good today.
So what if you gave yourself a guideline? So whenever you start, because this is what I have to do at night, and I'm not perfect at it. So I don't want it to make it seem like I've perfected this. So take my advice. But that this is definitely something that I work on too. What if you said, okay, I'm spinning out. I'm worrying about all this stuff. I'm going to give myself 3 minutes to brainstorm only productively. So my head hit the pillow and I'm thinking about what could I have done differently for the day? What could I have done better? That what I'm going to do is pause and say, okay, you get 3 minutes or you get 3 things that you wish you had done differently that you will do differently next time. So instead of ruminating on what did I do wrong, you're saying,
Set a
okay,
limit. You're setting a limit.
yeah, you're setting a limit and you're making it actionable. That instead of saying, look how horrible I am, that you go, okay, this is what I learned. This is what I'm going to do next time.
And if you have an action behind it, I feel like it's easier to resolve too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's closed. I'm going to do this next time. To that point, another thing that I have done that does seem to help is I'm going to worry about it, but I'm only going to worry about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to worry about it for 15 minutes. I'm going to set time. And it sounds silly, but it has worked for me. So I'm going to set time out of my day to worry about that. So it's not consuming my entire day. And it helps because I know, okay, I've set aside time for it. So I'm not neglecting it.
Yeah. So this goes back to like how you reframe how you think about something, because there is helpful information in all of the self-doubt, all the questioning. It's just a matter of finding what is actually valuable.
And I think too, circling back to our small intentional groups that we talked about, or circles of friends, or that friend that you can call, bring it there.
Yeah. And because then you can set a date. I know I'm going to
Yes,
see them on Friday.
I'm going to talk about it this time.
Especially if it's that you want to be like, this pissed me off and I want to do all this. You'd be like, okay, this is not going to help me get the boys to baseball practice.
Right. And I don't need it to consume my entire day. I know I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
and let it all
I'm
out
gonna
Friday at 4:00.
Yeah. Then you get it out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've given you a skincare regimen for your new thick skin, for how to be resilient.
And it's not a perfect process. Like the skin regimen isn't an exact science. There's a lot of overlapping ideas that go with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's something to think about and something to start trying.
Yeah. And I think, and this is about giving yourself a break, is that you are not a finished product and you're not ever going to be. So give yourself grace to work through and test out stuff that works. So it's the same way where if I start a new cream because it's the latest and the greatest and it makes me break out, I'm not going to continue using it. I'm going to move on from that. So I want to give our friends that are with us a toolkit that they can go away with. Okay. So I've coalesced some of the stuff that we talked about into some resilience building practices.
Are you wrapping it all up for us?
I'm
Our
gonna
package?
wrap it all up, package it
Mhm.
all up. Like
Got it.
nice skincare clinique
Okay.
gift with purchase. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to go over these and I want to hear what you think for each one.
Okay.
So these are our resilience building practices. The first one is name what you're navigating. Label the stress or the hardship. It will help disarm it. So Brené Brown says, name it to tame it.
I like that one a lot. And I think it's pinpoints what you're trying to navigate, give it a name, and then you can tackle it.
Yep.
If you don't know exactly what you're going after at first, how do you even begin to do
And
it?
this is another little tidbit for my sister-in-law, because she said that she tries to identify, is this my trauma? Is this my trauma talking? And so whenever you talk about name it to tame it, think about why is this my reaction? Where is it coming from? And that once
Right.
you name it, you might be able to completely disarm it.
If you understand where it's coming from, it might not even be something you really need to
Yeah.
address or think about.
Yep. Okay, the next one is, and I love this because I think this is so important. We don't do it as women, especially, we don't do a good enough job at this. Practice reflective gratitude.
You can be reflective in your gratitude. What is it teaching me? Put a spin on it, change it. What am I learning from it? Not how is it affecting me negatively, but how am I growing from it? What am I learning and how do I move forward?
Yep.
Mhm.
Which I'll give you a real life example right now.
Do it.
I feel so happy in life right this second that I just feel like, oh my gosh, we're just having this great time. Life is good, work's good, marriage good, family good. And that it's not actually. There's so much other hard stuff going on financially or otherwise, but that because I have forced my perspective to be, we just got to keep going, we're going, that I believe it's happening. So
There's a little bit of fake it till you make it,
Yeah.
right?
and then
there's
now I'm
probably
in
a
the,
better phrase for
Yeah,
it in your
like the
situation.
fake it till
not
you
fake
feel
it.
it.
But like
Yeah.
getting up and every day saying this is how it's going to be. We are in a good place. And
So we
Mhm.
woke up this morning. It's my husband's birthday as we're recording this. And that I said, I'm just so thankful. This is so fun. This, all this. And that normally we probably would be planning a big night out or something like that. And that's just not the situation this year. But that wasn't even anywhere in my thought process because we're looking
because
at
you
life.
were so excited to come record this
Yes,
podcast.
that
with
too.
me.
Seriously, that was one of them. And that's because my husband and I and I've been working on it. He doesn't say any of the lame like phrases, but I do. So we've been operating with an attitude of gratitude. And that an attitude of gratitude changes your freaking life. No joke.
It really does. I feel so often that it takes a tragic event that hits close to home for people to reflect on that, me myself. But if you move with gratitude, you can get some of those feelings in and
Yeah.
really see it from a different place without having to wait for something to rethink what's important.
And it's been really freeing and really cool because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're this happy. And why are we actually? If I was just checking
Because
the
it's
boxes.
a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yep.
Everything doesn't have to be perfect to be happy either.
You can choose to be
Mhm.
happy through the tough times. This brings me, I'm going to take a little pause and I'm going to pull up a quote. I have a quote for all the people. I have a Bible quote, which is one that I love. And then I have a very non-Bible quote. And I like
Ooh.
both of them. This
Okay.
is called layers.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one, and I love this, Romans 5:3 says, because this is part of our having an attitude of gratitude, that the way that you look at it, the way that you frame things in your mind is the way that you believe it. So this quote is Romans 5:3-4 in the Bible. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. I love this. That's the ultimate thick skin regimen, the OG thick skin regimen
Yes.
of the hard times produce
The suffering and
Yeah.
perseverance. But today, I feel like there's so much in the middle though.
Yeah.
That we can add there and help us through.
And before we go on to the next one, there was a quote that I used to believe in, which was pressure produces diamonds. You can't have diamonds without pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, diamonds that are cracked and have flaws have less value. And that does not translate to humans. So I just don't believe that you
All
have
that
to.
pressure.
All pressure
Mhm.
is good. All pressure
All the
results.
time.
Yeah. You're not a diamond. You're a flesh and bones human, and that the science works different. Don't think that you have to just live and thrive in pressure and that it'll eventually magically all figure itself out. Give yourself a
No,
freaking
it's
break.
all, that is so absolute. It's
Yeah.
not all or nothing.
You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there will still be people who hate peaches. I love that one. Because
That is such a good one to reflect on too when you're thinking about, do I let that in? No. If you are the ripest, juiciest peach and someone just doesn't like you because of that, no.
Yeah.
No. You don't need to take any criticism from them.
So here's our next thing. This is on who do we take criticism from. Now we're going to talk about building our thick skin circle. You talked about your friends, your family, the group chats. We talked about all this stuff. Surround yourself with strong, honest people. Resilience grows in good company.
I think surrounding yourself with people who are direct and honest really, really helps with building that thick skin. I come from a family that's pretty direct and honest. All of my boys are pretty direct and honest. They'll tell you the truth. They'll tell you what they're thinking. And I almost feel comfortable with that. Like just cut to it. Tell me what you're thinking. And then I will decide what I want to take from that and what I don't want to take from it. Learn to take it from the perspective of where it's coming from. Like going back to our previous episodes, like what were their intentions? What were their intentions in saying that? And having some empathy for the feedback that people give you.
Yeah. So one of the suggestions that I found online was create a personal resilience mantra, something that you can use to remind yourself who you are, whose you are, whatever it is. What do you think? Because I couldn't come up with one.
I'm going to default to my husband again.
Okay.
He really helps me with that. And I don't know if it's all the years in law enforcement of putting up that wall that he has greatly learned those skills of not letting like superficial or small things bother him. What does it matter? How is it affecting your life? How is it affecting what's important to you?
Yeah.
And he's always the one that calms me down from the outside stuff.
So then would you say that probably your personal mantra is something like, does this matter? How does it impact me?
Yeah, but it's that line. Like, how much are you going to let in? How much are you
Yeah.
going to take? And no, I'm like, was always raised. You don't have to put up with that.
Yep.
Put your foot down, stand up for yourself. And that goes within taking this feedback in and taking the noise in. Like, how much are you willing to listen to?
So we have talked a lot about how to have thick skin, how to be resilient while still being soft and still being vulnerable, like maintaining that humanity and
The
kind of heart,
balance that
the
we always go
balance.
back to.
But let me pull that back for just a second.
Oh gosh, where are we going? Where are you
think
pulling us back to?
I'm pulling us back to some grit and some gangster, okay? Because I'll tell you one thing.
I just can't help but think about all the rap songs that we've listened
Okay.
to together.
Yeah.
When you say grit
Which
and
this is-
gangster.
If you have already listened to episode 2, you know about our circle of trust. Maybe that was episode 1, our circle of trust.
Yeah.
One of the things that you only get to experience when you're in our circle of trust is our deep love of rap music. We're not even going to talk about it. We're not even going to give you a taste. But you should know, if you're in the circle,
There's rap music.
there's rap music and it ain't
And we know
pretty.
the words.
And we know the words, all of it. Okay. That grit, which to my boys, I tell them, you got to have swagger. You got to have a little pep in your step, a little strut.
Yes.
And
Yes,
that is a thing that
yes.
women don't get told enough. And I'm here to tell you it right now.
Have a little pep in your step. Have a little bit of a swagger.
Strut. Have a little
Walk
swagger.
in with that confidence.
Because if you walk into a situation with the swagger and the confidence of, these people aren't getting under my skin, none of this stuff is going to get to me, you are setting an intention for your reality. And that even though we're saying be resilient, have thick skin, but be soft and vulnerable and keep your heart like available to the world, it doesn't mean that you have to be a freaking jellyfish can take on
Oh.
anything. That I want you to be tough. There are ways to toughen yourself up to be tough, to get tougher without losing it all.
Right. Take in the criticism and all of that noise later, not when you're walking into a room with people you are talking to or giving a presentation or going into a work meeting. Deal with that privately. And I think that's something we haven't touched on. I think that's a very valid point. When you are facing public situations, private situations, walking into a room, you want that confidence. So what we're saying is deal with all the thick skin stuff later, but you want to really
Walk in with
give
some
off
swagger.
that strength.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that one of my common thoughts to myself when I'm reading nonsense on the internet, when I'm reading people pop off and run their mouths and stuff, is I think that person hasn't been smacked in the face enough. And that even though that I think about it all the time, like that sounds like somebody that hadn't been hit in the face. That some people run their mouths because no one has ever shut them up. And that you don't have to be the tender little flower. You can be the person that tells them to shut up.
And sometimes if you're the least suspecting person to do that, you have a huge impact.
Yeah. And that one thing, which this is probably another episode, bullies get their power from other people. It's given to them.
Yes, you give it to them.
So the people in your workplace, the people in politics, the people in your life, they only have that power because you give it to them. If you take it away, there's nothing. So if someone is coming at you and saying, Meryl, you're to this, you're to that, that you could say, here, doesn't matter because I took away their power.
Yeah. Yes, I do that a lot. And sometimes it's just not even responding.
Yeah.
People coming at me on social media or you're this, you're that. I'm like, I'm actually not, but I'm not even going to entertain your ideas about me because you haven't taken the time to even figure out who I am. I'm not going to take the time to even acknowledge what you're saying.
Which that was a lesson you taught me during a really heated situation that I had some people coming after me pretty fiercely.
Yes.
And
I know what situation you're talking about. I was at a baseball game, of course.
Yeah. And then I was prepared to unleash. I'd actually written out all of my responses that broke down why everything that they said was wrong and all this stuff. And I was just going to stick it to them.
And what'd I say?
You said, remove yourself from it. Don't read it. Don't look at it.
Because there becomes that
because
point.
It was unhelpful.
Because there becomes that point where, no, that this is beyond helpful. This is just now completely hurtful and they're attacking you for things that are not true. Everything that they were saying is not something that you should even take in or begin to filter. It was just nonsense. So at that point, it's just stop reading it.
So I didn't read it anymore. I didn't respond. I actually removed myself completely from the conversation, from everything. And that, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you the groundbreaking thing that happened.
Tell me.
Nothing. I was fine. Nothing happened.
Did it continue?
I don't know.
You don't know because you weren't reading it. So it doesn't matter,
It didn't
right?
bother me
it
at all.
Matter.
And so that was a huge lesson I took away from you because I was ready to get in there and fight and get in there and defend myself and all this stuff. And there's a time for that. And there's a time where it's unhelpful.
I learned a lot of that from the experience of helping my dad. I'll talk about that a lot in California, being a more conservative mayor. He got attacked for who he was. And there were some really hurtful things said about our family, just people that didn't even know us or didn't know anything. And it's hard to read after a while. So I learned to, okay, stop. Go to bed. You don't need to read any of this. Just because someone believes differently than you doesn't give them a right to say all of those hurtful things and to say all these things that are completely untrue. Yeah. They didn't know us. They had no idea what our family stood for. And yet they felt like they could just go ahead and say whatever they want. And it was going to be truth because I put it on social media. So therefore it was.
And you know what? That's the thing. When we talk about what we can control and what we can't control, luckily, we live in a country that has free speech.
Right.
So they can say whatever they want.
Thank goodness
they can say whatever nonsense.
I will fight for that and defend that.
I will defend your ability to say whatever dumb, untruthful shit you want to say.
You have that right. Absolutely.
You have that right. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I can control is how much of it I take in. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears. We're going to pivot. Let's pivot because we already gave everyone permission to pivot in episode 2 if you haven't listened to that. So I made a post on our page about this episode and said, girls, basically help me out. Give me some examples of times where you've had to have thick skin, where you wish that you did, where you had criticism.
And I loved reading the responses.
Yes, they're so good. So I'm going to give you a little rapid fire.
Ready, go.
These are all classics too. This is, if you've been a woman in the workplace.
You've probably heard this.
You've probably heard this. Okay. You're too emotional.
Oh, that one hits home.
Yeah.
I won't go into detail, and
You're
it
too
wasn't about me,
emotional.
but yes.
I can tell you, Meryl knows this because I called to complain about it. You might have sounded crazy.
That's better than you are crazy.
I'm like, I am crazy, but I don't think I sounded crazy that time. I'm like, I already took my medicine. Okay, so we have, you're too emotional, you sound crazy.
Yep.
You should smile more.
Oh,
You should smile more.
Like, I smile a lot, so that's one.
I actually never hear this, but that I definitely have heard it told to other
No,
people.
not to dismiss
Not
it.
to
no.
minimize it.
Not to minimize
Okay,
it.
you come off as aggressive. You're a little too aggressive.
And what is it that they really want to say? What are they really trying to say when they say that?
Why do you have confidence?
Yeah. Would you say that to a guy in the workforce?
You have heard me say this. Would you tell the men in our group the same thing that you just felt very comfortable telling me?
It's a good question.
And sometimes what you should do is just ask them that question.
Give it right back
Would you
to
say
him.
the same
Would
thing
you
to
say
these
that?
guys?
Would you say that to him?
Because the answer is no. And that
We know the answer.
Yeah, we know the answer. And good luck trying to backpedal. Okay. You're too quiet in meetings. You should speak up more.
Oh, that one I can get behind. Because just because you're quiet doesn't mean you're not absorbing, processing, having thoughts, all the things.
So if I talk, then I'm too loud. I'm talking too much.
And
then if you don't talk, you're too quiet.
Too quiet.
What
We're
do
to
they want?
this. And where does the freedom come in that people think that they can say these things to us?
I'm like, right now, I think you're talking too much. Giving me your opinion because I do not care. I don't know what I did that made you think that I gave a shit, but I don't. Okay.
Unfortunately, these are things that are not shocking to me. I've heard these.
Oh, none of it. That's why I was like,
Yep.
oh.
Yep.
Okay. Your voice is too high, too soft, too young.
Oh, too young. That one really used to get me.
Yep. I didn't like that.
Not anymore, though. Somehow people aren't saying that to me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm like,
I don't
why
know
do you think my voice sounds so young?
People
It
just don't say
doesn't.
that
I've
to me
never heard.
anymore.
I've
I'm
had
so
a.
sad.
I've had a full grown up voice since I was in high school. So it was the same. So I never got that, but I've gotten all the other things about what's wrong with my voice. Too loud, too everything. Too much.
Too much. Sit down.
Too much.
You're too much.
Because everything is either you're too much or you're,
you're
not,
not
enough. That there is no happy middle.
But
You can only be
again,
you.
Do we go around saying that to other people?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, here's the last rapid fire one before I get into I want to say listener feedback, but this is our friends on Facebook.
Our
Okay.
listeners.
So this one bothered me the most when I saw it because
Uh-oh.
I feel this one connected with me the most.
Okay.
Okay, so before I tell you what the actual feedback was, let me give you a little example. So if you look at any kind of CEO, any kind of guy that's in a leadership position, and you know that he has a podcast, he is the CEO of a huge company.
Mhm.
He also has, I don't know, a tequila brand, and he does cycling on the side, and he's
Like
a father.
all
He
the
does
things,
all this
all
stuff.
the things. Uh-huh.
And that nobody ever says.
Oh, I know where you're
this
going
next
with
thing.
this.
Are you sure you can handle everything that you've got going on?
Yes. That one right there. That one speaks
They
to me.
wouldn't ask us
Mhm.
that. So when I
Mhm.
have a job and a
Mhm.
family,
Yep.
that's
Same.
already those
Yep.
two things. That's already too many.
Too many.
How do you do it all?
could you possibly
How can you
manage
balance
a
all those?
family, work, and then anything extra? How do you do? I get asked that question quite a bit.
I'm
I
like, so right now, we both have these lists. So right now,
Mhm.
we have a podcast. I have a
Mhm.
real estate business.
Mhm.
I have the boys going into summer. We have
Yep.
I have my husband. We have dinner
Yep.
every night. That I'm working on a couple other projects that I'm trying to get my freaking body to work again. All this stuff, and that I feel fine. I actually feel like I could probably do a couple other things. And I do. I have Bible study, I have all this other stuff.
I don't know about you too, but when I have more going on, I feel like I'm able to manage it better as well.
Yeah. And so that's one thing that really grinds my gears is
How are you doing?
how do you handle all this? I'm like, I don't know. How does anyone handle it? How does Bill
Mhm.
Gates? All he does is have a foundation Come on.
And it goes back to what example are you setting for your family? Like I have a husband who's very supportive of all the things. Like he's cooking dinner again tonight, which he does most
Yeah.
nights for us because that's what he does. I have a husband that's active in our family roles and does things so that I am able to go to work
And that
be
he's a
present
pretty-
in family
Yeah.
and do a podcast and spend time on the town stuff as well.
Yeah. And I'll say that one of the things, and this is like the alpha, the red pill kind of thing that is getting popular, is that the idea is that if a husband is like supportive of his wife, that he's probably a little beta. But we
No,
both have
that's not the
freaking
case.
alpha masculine husbands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I think that's a fallacy that people are trying to push out to stop husbands from feeling like they have to support their wives. Okay, so we went through our rapid fire ones, and if any woman is listening, none of that's surprising. We've all heard it. All those things I listed. So here's a couple specific ones that I had to pull out that I loved.
Let's hear it.
Yes. Okay, so she said, I used to be a manager at somewhere. During a regional meeting, one of my seniors pulled me aside before I was supposed to speak. Her store was leading in sales and customer connection and asked me to maybe not be so helpful, that I should probably be a little more vague in the practices that I used and how I manage my team. They said that by being too helpful, they'd lose icon leaders like myself, and I didn't want to just become another female known for giving away too much.
Don't be too helpful.
And
Give
you don't want
away
to just be another female known for giving away too much.
Okay, I have not heard of that personally.
That's what I was
before.
like.
Wow, that is a doozy.
So she said,
Oh, and thank you so much for sharing that with us.
So she said, I went over my time and even took questions at the end, and it was very well received.
Awesome.
Yep. And so I said, that's other
Good for
people's
you.
insecurities showing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I love that one.
I love that. But even though I haven't heard that one personally, I'm not shocked. Like, you're doing too good. Sit down.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe don't make a big deal out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked this one because this one made me want to throat punch whoever told this.
Oh, we use that phrase a lot in our house.
I love it.
Not
Like-
a lot. I shouldn't say that, but maybe a little.
I rarely ever actually throat punch anyone.
I never have, but
So the feedback that she got was, I thought you were like really smart or something. That's what
I
like
just-
throat punch.
I just can't with that one.
Oh. So she said the way that she deals with this was she said she Marco Polo's her besties. So she like sends it to a group chat, but she's, and that they always come through for her.
Excellent.
She said, I remember that I am only a branch and he is the vine. She's talking about God. I am only a branch. He's the vine. None of what I'm doing is because of me. It's for him.
I love that she's touching on things that we've talked about too, things that you found useful, things that I found useful to help us with this.
Yeah. So she went to her friends. She didn't throat punch the person, which I'm proud of.
That's positive. Yes. Probably not a good idea, even though
So
I say it.
Yeah. She went to her friends and she reconnected with, does this even matter? What matters to me? So I love that.
Okay. So we've done that. We've talked about a lot of different things and how it affects our thick skin, how thick skin really isn't about just letting it bounce off, but how we let it in and what we do with it. Do you want to take us through and wrap it all up for us?
So we've covered a lot. You're right. But that is because this is such an important topic. It's something you gotta have to thrive. Let's wrap up and leave you with the tools that I hope that we've given you today. Okay. So we gave you a new thick skin regimen. We said you have to cleanse, you have to moisturize, you have to have your SPF, you have to exfoliate, right? And you have to rest. Know that you can help your family, you can help the people around you by building this resilience.
And no one's saying it has to be perfect. There's not a perfect science, but starting and being aware of it, I think is a really good start.
Yep. So you have your new thick skin regimen. We tried to give you that. And that you have a couple practices that we recommended. We said, name what you're navigating to work through it. Name it and tame it. Practice reflective gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude.
Have some people, even if those people are
Your thick skin
GPT,
circle.
Have
Yeah.
your circle. Have your people that you can talk to and let it out.
Here's my parting thought. Developing thick skin doesn't mean you stop feeling. All it means is that you get better at deciding which critics to hand the mic to.
So well said. And Alex, thank you so much for working on this episode. I know it was a passion piece for you, something you've dealt with a lot, but it's important to talk about and important to have some skills. It's not talked about enough.
Yeah. So right now we're taking turns. We're like volleying it back and forth on like our passion projects.
This is one that you felt very passionate about, wanted to talk about.
Yep.
I have one coming up next that I am so excited about.
Me too.
The silent leadership.
Yep. That, because I'm one kind of leader. I'm loud in your face.
I'm a whole kind of another. And I hope that from the both of us, we are able to show that there's a balance and there's not one way of doing things correctly.
So thank you for joining us today on episode 3 of Ladies Who Lead. I'm Alex.
I'm Meryl.
And we're so glad you were here with us today. Give yourself grace. Give yourself a break.
Please follow us. We will have more episodes.
Like
I'm excited about that. Yes, like and subscribe. Share.
Yeah.
Because I think these conversations are really valuable. And you might be surprised